Well, the film is inspired by a documentary that Rachel Boynton had made, and my first effort was sitting down with her and talking to her about her experiences in Bolivia and with the real people that she spent time with down there. And then I took a trip with my production designer and our costume designer, and we went down just to kind of get a sense of the feel of La Paz and Bolivia and meet as many people as we could. And it was a very informal trip. So we went down there just to wander around and like kind of live the adventure of a new city and feel our way through Bolivia. It's a story that it takes place in Bolivia, and I wanted a sense of authenticity. At the same time, it's not a story that necessarily relies on that specific geography. I think it's a relatable story, regardless of where you're from, in terms of the struggles of big business politics versus globalization versus preservation of your own culture and community. Well, my Spanish is weak, my 8th grade Spanish, but I just loved being down there. I mean, it really is. It's one of those great cultures. Work hard, play hard, and we had a phenomenal crew there. We shot some of the film in New Orleans, some of the film in Puerto Rico, a little bit in Colorado, a little bit in Los Angeles. So we were really a mobile unit of just a great camaraderie, a great group of collaborators traveling around making movies, which is what I've wanted to do most of my life. So here we go. Well, she's amazing, and as everyone will tell you, she's just so down to earth and lovely to work with, and Billy Bob as well. And he when I was in film school was when Sling Blade came out, so he was a real as a Southern filmmaker. He was a real inspiration for me when I was looking at the intimidating prospects of getting into this business. I'd always really looked to him as a kind of a secret role model. So the idea of being able to get in the room and work with him and we just had a blast. He would come to set even when he wasn't working. And with Sandy, I live in Austin, Texas, and she has a place down there. So we just kind of really bonded over lifestyle and our love of diverse types of movies and wanting to not be categorized by dramatic work or comedic work, but really try to use this movie as a blend of all these things that we like. Really uses that opportunity. So, but the entire cast, Anthony Mackie and Scoot McNairy, Ann Dowd, like so many comedically capable and exciting actors to work with that can bring great depth to these characters, make them real. Sometimes we had an amazing script that Peter Strawn wrote that we used as our architecture, and then sometimes we'd throw it out and just improv through it and have some fun. And if it was written dramatically, we'd try a comedic version of it, and if it was written really humorous, sometimes we'd say it with a tear in the eye. And so it was just a real playful environment and a pleasure to make a movie like this.
Wanted that.
I mean, I never looked at it as a political movie. Even if I watch a movie like Robert Altman's MASH, I don't really think of it as a war film. I just feel like it's a great character piece. It's a great portrait. A movie like that's a perfect example. Actually, I hadn't really thought about that. But they go on for a 20-minute football game in the middle of a war comedy. You know what I mean? Just being able to take those detours and tangents and inject humor and humanity and life that's not necessarily dramatically driven, I think is important to tell a story like this, so it doesn't you don't feel the burden of any sort of political voice or political positioning as you're watching the movie. It's strange that you say that, because that's the one thing that I get really overwhelmed when there's a lot of extras, because I look at everybody as if everybody's hair matters. There's 1,000 people and I'm judgmental about the shirts that they're wearing. I'm really good in a scene that has 4 or 5 people in a room, but if you take me to the street with hundreds of extras, I get a little intimidated by that.